The presence of Israeli settlements in Palestinian areas is one of the most contentious issues of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The settlements are regarded as illegal under international law, but are still accepted by the Israeli government. But there are also a number of outposts, which even the Israeli government regards as illegal. There are over 100 of these illegal settlements. The Israeli government has said it will remove them, but in the northern West Bank, efforts by the Israeli army to remove settlers are proving ineffectual. Tim Franks has had unique access to one day's events in one of these outposts on the West Bank.
This is land almost all governments believe should be part of a future Palestinian state. But it's being built on by Israeli Jews. It's an outpost inside the occupied territory of the West Bank. The settlers have called it Shavut Ami, which means return of my people. The outpost has been evacuated 10 times in the 6 months since it was first occupied. Yesterday came attempt number 11. Israeli policemen and soldiers, about 100 of them, bundled 6 teenage girls onto buses and away.
What's unusual about this evacuation so far is that just a handful of teenage girls have been kicked out of the outpost. The teenage boys who've been involved in setting this up are nowhere to be seen. They may be hiding, waiting to come back in once the army and the police have left, but at the moment there's no trace of them.
We had our answer soon enough. They've been keeping out of the way. Within an hour, those young male Israeli settlers were back. Just 3 soldiers had been left to guard the land. They couldn't cope.
God gave us out this land, it's ours. We do what God says, so we're here.
But as far as the police and the soldiers are concerned, you are trespassing. They say that this is privately owned Palestinian land.
Okay, they can say whatever they want. We have our God who tells them what to do. That they don't have a God, it's a very big problem.
We'd met Yedidia before in late February, hard at work on the outpost. There are more than 100 illegal outposts dotted throughout the West Bank. Most are bigger, longer established than this. The Israeli Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert, calls them a disgrace, but they remain in place.
Yeah, this is the synagogue.
The ambition of those who live in the outposts and those who support them is that they expand into full-blown settlements, still illegal under international law, but accepted by the Israeli authorities.
Yeah, it was just an empty space. Like you can see over here, it doesn't look much now, but if you look at Kedumim, in the beginning it looked exactly the same. It was even worse. What we hope is to start building like this, and then it will be like Kedumim.
Well, like this place over here was it was as rough as this.
Yeah, it was even worse. Now there are families and grandchildren and everything. It's a town for just a plain town.
But within sight of the outpost stands a small hurdle to that ambition. She's a 61-year-old Palestinian widow called Badria Amar. She says she owns the land, and her case has been taken up by an Israeli human rights group. This is the house where my brothers and I slept. My father, brothers and sisters, we farmed olives, almonds and grapes. A spokesman for the Israeli Civil Administration, which oversees the West Bank, told Newsnight that it's almost 100% sure her claim to the land is valid. And it's on her behalf that yesterday there was a new development. A small group of left-wing Israeli activists turned up in the early afternoon. There, they said, at the invitation of the Palestinian landowner.
We're hoping that our presence here will be useful to help Palestinians hold on to their property.
Is it frightening?
The settlers are a little threatening. It's hard to predict what they're going to do. There's many of them, and well, just hope for the best.
The plan was unprecedented, to create the West Bank's first left-wing outpost. That, at least, was the plan. First came the arguments. One of the settler leaders face-to-face with one of the activists. Bokdim, or traitors, she's calling them. And then with a local Palestinian man, returning, he said, to his family land. You're not after our neighborhoods round here, she says. Arafat, Abu Mazen, they don't want the places here. They want Tel Aviv and Haifa and Jerusalem. The extreme Arabs want us to be in the sea, that's all. The arguments spread. The settlers had reinforcements. It didn't last long.
What they come here for? What is their interest in coming here?
They say that the land belongs to a Palestinian and that they're coming...
Land has never belonged to the Palestinians. There's no such thing as Palestinians. As a nation, it never existed.
The concept
never. The concept never existed. 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, they were Philistines, right? They're long gone, they're assimilated. They don't exist anymore. They never have existed. These Arabs here are the same Arabs living in Egypt, in Jordan, in Iraq,
they
in
travel
Sudan.
twice a week to Jordan to visit their families.
The same people.
The settlers quickly reclaimed the outpost.
The left-wing activists and the Palestinians from a nearby village had high hopes for today. Instead, they ended up being chased off the hill, and the settlers are back here in force. They say that they're not going anywhere. Indeed, they say that this land will remain theirs forever.
It may only be one small hill in the West Bank. It shows how far away an end to all this remains.